Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from yourblackworld.com. And today, I just got back from Eastern Europe. I had a great time. We went to a lot of good countries. We went to Russia and Sweden and Finland and Poland. And I traveled with a group of African Americans called the National Professionals Network. And I was going to sit on a panel with Michael Eric Dyson, but Michael sometimes just doesn't show up, and so I was kind of mad at him for not showing up, because he's my boy, and I definitely wanted to see him. But then I got back and I found out that he was hosting Hardball with Chris Matthews this week as a guest host. So I forgive you, Mike, and congratulations on your recent achievement. And maybe MSNBC would hire me if I would just go along with the Democratic liberal agenda, which I just can't do that. I'm not Democrat. I'm not really Republican. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. At Your Black World, we're just happy being black, and our number one objective at the end of the day is to give black people the truth, wherever the truth may lie. When I look at the black community, I see a group of people who are very diverse. I don't think that we fit neatly into a liberal package when it comes to things like gay marriage, pro-choice versus pro-life, or I guess reproductive rights. When it comes to a lot of fiscal and social policy, I don't think African Americans are always as liberal as everybody wants us to be. At the same time, we're not entirely conservative, and the Republican Party doesn't exactly invite black people in with open arms, and they've got their whole racism issue that they have to work through. The way that they've been treating President Obama is atrocious. But anyway, with all that said, I'm putting that aside. Just so you know, my MSNBC thing that's a beef with me and them. It has nothing to do with Mike having that job. I'm actually quite happy for him, and there's big bank over there for people that are affiliated with what they do. I like what I do because I like the idea of being independent. And this actually leads to what I'm here to talk about. When we created Your Black World, our number one goal was not just to get information to black people, but it was also to create a platform for the people that we need to hear from. When I talk to people like Dr. Wilmer Leon at Howard University, Dr. Christopher Emden at Columbia University, Yvette Carnell, and people like that who are going to give you the truth from a black perspective. That's very important to me because I don't feel that sometimes in mainstream media we get that. I don't feel that white folks really care that much about black people other than finding ways to make money off of us. Even if you look at a lot of black online media, a lot of that stuff is owned by white folks, and they sort of trickle down the agenda. They trickle down what they want to see and what they want us to do. And I don't like that. I feel that even if you are a high-paid slave, you're still a slave. And so really with Your Black World, and I'm very proud of what we've created. We are well over 100,000 strong now. I used to say we're 100,000 strong in terms of subscribers and all that, but now I want to say we're approaching 200,000 or over 150. And I just want to say thank you to the people that believe in the vision as well. Because we're here to give you something that you can't get anywhere else. Something that's cutting edge, something that's meaningful, something that reflects who you are, something that doesn't tell you what to think. A lot of people have heard me say things about, say, the Obama administration or the Republicans or about media or whatever. And my goal is never really to tell people what to think. My goal as a scholar and I guess so-called intellectual leader is to encourage you to think for yourself. And so, really the point in all this, and it's about 6:52 in the morning, and I'm just kind of up, and my brain is kind of going everywhere on this. I think the bottom line of what I'm trying to say here is that independence is very important for us. Malcolm X told us that a long time ago. When you look at the black employment numbers being through the roof, Malcolm told us a long time ago that in this society, in this racist society, you have to be independent as a black person. You can't. Don't get me wrong. It's not that you disconnect from what white folks are doing. I mean, come on. White folks got all the money. They've been robbing us for 400 years. And this is a documented fact. This is not me being radical here. For 400 years, they kept black folks from acquiring wealth, which means that now when you walk down the street of Manhattan and you see billion-dollar buildings, they're owned by white people. If you look at major corporations and universities and broad institutions, they're owned primarily by white people. Black folks don't own a whole lot of stuff, and unfortunately, we have also gotten into this long-term habit of seeking our validation from the descendants of our historical oppressors, which is a very dangerous thing. You can't look to someone who hates you to tell you that you are worthy. You can't look for them to pat you on the head to make you feel like you've accomplished something. You can't sit there and wait for them to give you a fancy job or a fancy title for you to feel that you are valuable and that you add value to the world around you. One good example might be academia. Every year I hear from black scholars who go into academia and they're told the same thing, that if you are a good boy or a good girl, you keep your damn mouth shut, you do what we tell you to do, you're going to be rewarded by getting tenure at this wonderful prestigious university. Now, what is tenure really? Really, tenure is kind of like welfare for smart people. It's basically a lifetime job where you get paid no matter what you do. Okay, fine. Lifetime job, great, I'll take it. But the problem is that in too many cases I see African American scholars doing something that we can't afford to do. They basically detach themselves from anything that's black, because black scholarship, things that relate to black people, are considered less valuable than the work that's done that relates to white America. That's just a fact. And then what happens is they sell their souls, and most of them, the majority of them, still never get the prize at the end of the day. So it's almost like one of those movies where the bad guy comes up and tries to make a deal with one of the people in the group, and everybody says no, and then one person gives in, and they figure that getting on the side of the winning team is the way to go, and then they end up getting screwed anyway. Well, that's kind of what happens in academia. And when I talk to scholars, when I talked to a brother about this last night, I was telling him, I said, it's fine for us to do what we do in academia and to try to, get these prestigious titles and all that. But at the end of the day, you got to have your own lifeboat. You have to have your own situation, your own platform, your own way of making money. And so for me, for example, Your Black World and what I do with that, that's more valuable to me than anything I might do in academia. Pleasing Syracuse University has never taken precedence over pleasing my people and being there for my people and being the intellectual leader for my people that we need in our community. We need black scholars in our community. As George Fraser, I love George Fraser. He's a great guy down in Cleveland. I've talked to him on a few occasions. He gives me a lot of really good words of wisdom. And one thing he said that I loved was, he said, we don't need more PhDs, we need more PhDs. We need black scholars that are really reaching to the community and doing things that add value. So I use the plight of the black scholar as an example of what really needs to happen in all the industries in which we work. We need independence. We need to find our own ways to make our own money, so nobody tells you what to do. Because the truth is that no matter how big your platform is, no matter how big your paycheck is, no matter how big your status is, if you are owned by somebody else, they could take that away from you in a minute. That is sometimes a more vulnerable situation to be in than if you never had that stuff in the first place. Because what happens is they hook you in with the money, and they get you hooked on the status and the validation and the wealth or the fame or whatever. And then the minute you act like you want to get out of line, they threaten to take it away. And guess what happens? When it's time to stand up, you conveniently find an excuse to keep sitting back down. And if you're out there in corporate America right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see injustice all around you, but yet in many cases you don't feel empowered to do anything about it. Well, 3 steps you can take to get that empowerment, that individual empowerment. Number 1, learn how to make your own money. As long as you make all your money from one source, you are almost always vulnerable. It doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur, an independent business person, but it does mean that you probably want to get a side hustle and find a way to make money outside of the place where you work. When I started making money outside of Syracuse, I didn't care what Syracuse did to me. I wasn't afraid of them anymore because I had options. Number 2, manage your money. Try not to live paycheck to paycheck, because when you live paycheck to paycheck, you're almost like a drug addict who needs the heroin in order to stay alive, and in that relationship, the addict never has any power. It's the dealer that has all the power. Number 3, remember these old words from Jesse Jackson from back in the day. Jesse Jackson said, "You are somebody." Remember that? He told you that you are somebody no matter what status you have, no matter what kind of fancy title you have, no matter how much money you have. You could be butt naked on the street corner without a penny in your pocket, and you are still somebody because you were important on the day you were born. And that's important to understand, because sometimes as black folks, we need white people to tell us that we matter. We need white people to tell us that we have a fancy title, which makes us somehow more worthy than we were before we had the damn title. Well, you know what? I say to hell with those titles. My whole time at Syracuse University, I've never gotten a single promotion. They have never acknowledged the work that I do on any meaningful level. A lot of people come in and they say, oh, well, Dr. Boyce, I bet it, with all the stuff you do, I bet at Syracuse, they just love you. They probably give you awards and status and power and everything. No, they don't give me any of that, because the truth is that I advocate for black men, which is something that white institutions are not trained to be responsive to. They are not wired to give a shit about black men. That's why everything I do that relates to black men is considered more of a nuisance than an asset. That is racism, folks. Racism 101. So, and what's so funny to me about American racism is that only people who are from other countries understand how racist America is. You want to see racism, especially for black men, we know it goes to the top. Look at what Barack Obama is going through. I've critiqued Obama on various occasions and called for accountability, but I understand what this guy's going through, because it happens to all of us. No matter how educated you are, how much money you got, black men still have a certain plight. And I say this especially for black men out there, and black women too, because we know black women have unique challenges as well. But the fact of the matter, and this goes to the heart of what I was saying to this brother when I talked to him yesterday about being a scholar and about academia and the troubles he was experiencing and concerns he had. As I said, black men have to come together, support each other. We have to come together to have our independent strength, our independent platforms. Because if you're always trying to play a game on somebody else's field according to somebody else's rules, where they have the power to reward and punish you, then guess what? It's going to be just like that movie, The Hunger Games, where every time you get ahead, they're going to change the rules to put you back in your damn place. And the fact is that we are too brilliant, too powerful, too capable to let anybody put us in our place. And that's not going to happen to me, and I don't think that should happen to you. So go out there, be independent, do your own thing. That's the key to your freedom. Well, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from yourblackworld.com. Thank you for checking me out. And also, please, if you live in D.C. or Detroit, Ed Gordon and I have a radio show that comes on. It comes on in Detroit on Mix 92.3 on Sundays from 12 to 2. And it comes on in D.C. On WHUR, I want to say Saturdays from 7 to 8. Ed's going to kill me if I get that wrong, but you get the point. So I hope you'll support what we're doing. And also, I'm part of a movie that's coming out very soon. I hope you'll support the movie. The movie is called Hoodwinked, and it was created by Janks Morton. And it's basically a conversation about the myths of the African American male, all the misperceptions, all the misinformation that's out there that really feeds into stereotypes about black men. Steve Perry, the education guy in New York, who's a brilliant brother, he's part of the film. Jawanza Kunjufu, an amazing person, is part of the film. Dr. Ivory Tolson is part of the film. Dr. Mark Lamont Hill is part of the film, and then yours truly. So there are 5 of us basically breaking down what's going on in black America, because the fact is that we're sick of this stuff. We're not going to let it continue, and we're going to stand up for what we believe in. The first line of defense for black men out there is intelligence. Learn how to think for yourself, get as much education as you can, and don't let nobody keep you down, because you are meant to be successful. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Please take care and have a wonderful day. I'm gone. Peace.